Thank you.
Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this young lady back. She, of course, is an attorney representing President Trump from HabbaLaw.com. It is Alina Habba. How are you, Alina? Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are
I,
you?
I understand you're not very busy today.
No, not at all. I think only my fifth show.
well, listen. The fact that you're this busy is for one simple reason: you're amazing, and you should be on all these shows. And we should keep asking you to come on because we always get the truth from you, and we just love talking to you. There are two questions that I get from listeners and viewers when they know I'm going to have you on. One, how is she so amazing? And two, are they really going to try to send President Trump to prison? I mean, is that really going to happen on September 18th? What's the story with that? You can answer the amazing one if you want, but it's up to you if you want to go there.
Hard work and honesty.
There you go.
Um,
Love it.
I don't put anything past them. I did a show last year and they said, do you think they would put him in jail? And my response was, I think they would kill him if they could. And the reality is we're now sitting here and almost everything has come to fruition. And I put nothing past them. The lawfare, I would have put past them 3 years ago, but I don't anymore. This is no longer about America, about loving our country. It's about getting your political opponent. And, Kamala is obviously their last resort.
Yes.
They are at a point of desperation now, as you saw last night, I'm sure. The screaming, the yelling, the making people feel that the word MAGA, the phrase MAGA, which stands for Making America Great Again, is an offensive KKK type word. That says it all. That is who these people are. And their policies don't work. So do I think they'll put him in jail? Absolutely, because I think they have nothing else. They're desperate. And we unfortunately have judges that are motivated not only by their robe and by the law, but by the outside sources that they have, whether it be family, whether it be politics, whether it be aspirations, all the things that are not supposed to go into a courtroom. I've seen time and time again with President Trump just filter in and inappropriately be used against him.
Well, where are we in the appeals process? You get to appeal any sort of a ruling like this, and before you could be sentenced, if an appeal is accepted, he should be able to stay out on bail or whatever it is to work on his appeal. Where are we with that?
It depends. So on that, we have appeals. We've been appealing every decision, frankly, every wrong decision, including the appeal of the fact that he wouldn't recuse himself. So now we have a Supreme Court decision that, frankly, no pun intended, trumps this entire thing. It says that if he is doing an official act as president, then it cannot be considered. And in the trial, what we had was testimony from members and individuals while he was in the presidency, which, by the way, this entire thing took place while he was in the White House. So, not only has he not done anything wrong, we think that the evidence was used inappropriately in the trial. So that is up on appeal. We have countless motions. We've just received notice that he would not recuse himself, Judge Merchan, which is not surprising. I think the system in itself is a bit broken, that the judge himself decides whether he has a bias. But here we are. So we do know that the DA did not object to our asking that the sentencing be pushed past the election. We're waiting on a decision from the judge.
Did you say it's a system that's a bit broken? Did you use the word bit? It's a lot of bit broken for sure, but I loved how artfully you used the language there. It's Alina Habba. Go to HabbaLaw.com. Follow her everywhere. She's amazing. President Trump's attorney. Obviously, this case was lawfare. There's no doubt about it. I can make that case, and I'm not an attorney, although my mom says that'd be a pretty good one. When you look at what they did here, they resurrected misdemeanors that were way past the statute of limitations. Then they tied them to a federal elections law where the FEC itself said there was no breach of federal elections law. Well, there was by Hillary Clinton, not by Donald Trump. So how did they make these felonies in any court of law? How does this make any sense? Did they pull the felonies out of the sky? Are these actual felonies in New York that they're pretending he did, even though he didn't do? How did we even get there?
Well, we actually have that up right now as a question for appeal. The issue is the indictment itself was flawed, and I think that's what you're stating. You have a state judge, a state prosecutor going after a president for what should be a federal crime. And what they did was stack it. And if you recall also, Joe, they had a menu of 4 options that the jury could pick from of the underlying crime to cover for the campaign finance alleged violation.
It's unheard
The
of.
reason this was done, and we could analyze this case backwards and forwards, but we're not going to get the answers because there are none, because it was inappropriate from the get-go, because it was turned down by DA Alvin Bragg. It was turned down by Cy Vance. But then he said he was running for office, and they did this. Why? If you ever had any doubt, look at Hillary Clinton's speech last night.
Yes.
She pronounced him a felon, 34 counts. And that was exactly why they've been trying to rush these sham trials, why they've been urgently pressing things that all of a sudden are relevant, that weren't, that are past statute of limitations, that aren't even supposed to be in these courts of law, but they send DOJ officials from the Biden administration, from Merrick Garland, to go sit in and help the state. There is such an issue right now with separation of powers, with federal and state government officials working together in an uncanny way to coordinate what literally cannot be said as anything other than election interference. And it's dangerous.
In what world does the number 3 person at the DOJ leave that job, that amazing job where he's in line to become the attorney general, and he goes to some local DA's office? In what world does that happen other than get Trump?
The same world where they say that no one's above the law except their own, that Hunter Biden is still free, that we saw in the impeachment report that came out, that the GOP put out, that Biden's made what, 27 million from foreign entities,
just yesterday.
but he's still sitting as president. Now, frankly, do I think he's effective? Does it matter? No, you can impeach a corpse. It's not going to make a difference for our country.
Right.
But I think that at this point, like, we have to remember they are such hypocrites. They stood up there and say no one is above the law but them, but Hillary Clinton, who got up last night, but Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden, who we know has, was the big guy. I mean, what are you talking about? The hypocrisy. And then they scare the American people and say President Trump will go in and he will weaponize the justice system. What the hell are you talking about? That's what you have done.
Yes.
That's why people are voting for President Trump and not for you. And that's why your candidate is no longer.
You probably remember this. It's Alina Habba, by the way. Go follow her everywhere. Amazing follow on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. Also go to habbalaw.com. She's an attorney for President Trump. I'm sure you remember the night of November in 2016 when President Trump was asked, will you now go after Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton? And he said, nope, we won. Leave them alone. I mean, that's really, and he meant that. That's the kind of guy he is. And from that moment on, Clinton, the Clinton machine, the Obama machine have been doing everything they can to ruin this guy's life. That's really the difference. As they say Trump would do it, he literally said, I'm not going to do it. Then he didn't for 4 years. He didn't go after Hillary Clinton and those people. But now, since he's left office, this is all they do. So how do you make that make sense to the American people? Those who are watching, listening to us right now will get it. But then we'll post it over on social media where another audience will see it. How do we convince them that they're doing what they say he'll do?
Look at the past 3 years. Look at what President Trump did. He wasn't afraid of his political opponents. He didn't touch them. We had James Comey come up and say that he, for a fact, knows that Hillary Clinton did things wrong with her server, bleach bidding and all of that, but that he just wouldn't go after her.
Right.
That was the America, frankly, where there was some dignity, some preservation of government officials, where we didn't touch certain things. There were impeachment processes to reprimand bad behavior, and those have been exercised. But my God, we didn't do this third world stuff.
Right.
And my point to the American people is very simple. I would say two things. I mean, one is about policy, and I just say, how you doing? How you doing today? Because that's all I care about. Because there's not a single person in this country that would say they're doing better. And then the second question is, do you remember when Trump was there? None of this was happening. Does this mean that they didn't do things wrong? No, we know they did. There were FEC violations. There's the Durham report. There's all kinds of things that we know for a fact, but it's the dignity and the respect that is lacking in the Oval Office right now. And that has trickled down to this self-interested behavior that is disgusting and un-American. AOC last night spoke about Donald Trump lining his pockets. AOC, I have a message for you. Donald Trump not only did not line his pockets, he lost money. And you guys couldn't hurt him enough. So then you went after his business and he's still standing. So the only people I see lining their pockets are the people you report to, the Nancy Pelosi's and the big guy. So I'm really sick and tired of hearing the false narratives. And if the left media doesn't start correcting this and telling people the truth, then really I only say to the American people, rely on shows like this, rely on podcasts, rely on individuals who are doing their homework and reaching out to actual spokespeople and look at the facts. That's it.
It's Alina Habba. She's an attorney representing President Trump. Let's talk about the chances Trump has to get states in an historic manner. And here's what I mean. Ronald Reagan won every state except for Minnesota. He lost Minnesota because Mondale, and I guess Minnesota felt bad for Mondale. Having said that, I feel like New Jersey is in play. You've got 109,000 people showed up to a rally. New York could be in play because they were dumb enough to make him walk around the cities, the neighborhoods of New York for 6 weeks while trying him. Yeah. California might be in play. Alina, are these states in play, do you think?
I think every state is in play. I think that anybody is looking at crime, anybody's looking at their children's educations and the concerns that we have with the teachers educating them. Any concern that you have with the lack of morals and the lack of constitutional respect in this country, the judicial system is obviously the most prominent for me personally. But I will say that I think that there is not a state that is not in play. I think that generally speaking, President Trump does poll lower than he, in fact, is doing. And I think that we'll see a big wave again. And frankly, he's still leading. If you look at all of the things that matter, the economy, safety, people, the things that we care about as a country, he leads her in the polls because frankly, no one knows what his policies are. Her policies. I mean, I'm saying his, but they're the same.
Right.
President Trump's, we know, but Biden and Harris, no one knows because they're flip-flopping so damn much.
Yeah, but Alina, they lie so well. They lie with such ease. Last night, they stood there and said crime is down, murder is down, felonies are down. Well, they're down because you're changing felonies to misdemeanors in many places. But the border is more secure now than it was the day he left office. Lie. We have an updated jobs number that just came in today, which is Bidenomics or Kamalanomics. And the updated jobs number are we just lost, some accounts say 1 million jobs where they pretended they gained 130,000. But they lie so incredibly well. I put on MSNBC by mistake last night. I'm going to admit this to you. I almost threw up. Then I had to change it real quick. But they are such prolific liars. Can we beat them on messaging?
I think something
it's hard,
very
isn't
clear
it?
is no, not because there's one thing. Look at the viewership. Okay, MSNBC, CNN, they are losing at the game of viewership. Fox is winning.
Yes.
Fox has millions of viewers a night on prime time. CNN and MSNBC together cannot beat Fox. So when I say, look, there might be one show, but if you look at the largest podcasts, for instance, the Joe Rogans, the Don Bonginos, your podcast, Don's podcast.
Yes.
Those are doing incredibly well on Rumble and these new platforms. And those platforms, including Fox, are carrying. So regardless of what, they're annoying as hell and listening to them is nauseating, but they're not getting ratings. And ratings are human beings turning it on and staying tuned. And they just don't have the numbers. So they're noisy, they're annoying, and they blast it, but they're not getting the numbers, and those stations are not doing well because the American public don't trust today's journalists. They don't trust the media, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong because I've been in court and heard a completely different rendition of what actually happened on MSDNC or CNN than Fox. And it's disgusting, but it should not be that way. News should be news. And unfortunately, Americans are turning to social media and podcasts to get their news. But I will say, if you look at Fox's numbers, they still blow everybody out of the water in terms of mainstream TV media.
It is Alina Habba. Last question for you. Thanks for making some time today. I know you've got 18 more people waiting, but of course, this was the most important to you today, and I appreciate that.
For sure it was. I was excited to talk to you, Joe.
Well, I love it because you're my favorite graduate of BAU, Badass University. So let's get into the economics just for one last second. And what I mean by that is Biden got in. We could talk about what happened with mail-in ballots and everything else some other time, but he gets in because he's good old Joe. He's Uncle Joe. His persona, it's a lie. He's a horrible guy, but his persona worked on the American people. Nobody wanted Kamala Harris. Nobody, not her own party. She got 1.9% when she ran. She has never won a delegate ever. Dean Phillips has 3 more delegates than she will ever have as she becomes the nominee this week. But her economic plan is so far left of Biden, and Biden was falling out of the car to the left because Obama was running the joint. How is that going to resonate with the American people, knowing, as you said, 4 years ago, we were doing pretty well economically, extremely well compared to now? Can they spin and lie and make her somebody she's not, both on policy and just on personality?
Well, they're hiding her. So
Yeah.
if you look at it, what they're doing is they're hiding her, much like the hid Joe. And if you look at what her actual economic policy is, if you could even call it that, it's going to cost us $1.7 trillion. So everybody gets excited because they think they're getting a handout. Oh, you're going to get 10 grand. You're going to get 25,000 for your first time homeowner. You're going to guess how that's going to come back to them by us paying taxes, interest rates. They are ruining this country. This is not monopoly money. And they keep handing it out to other countries and handing it out to immigrants. And the problem is that they are not, the American people better wake up and realize we're going to be the ones that pay that deficit. We're going to be the ones that pay that back. And it's problematic. So I can't educate people more than anybody else, but all I can say is I can be a loudmouth. We need to be loudmouths. We need to pound away at the message that Trump's policies work. Everybody was better off under Trump.
Yeah.
We were safer. We didn't have murders. We didn't have people flicking off the police force again because they've been defunded and disrespecting our police. I mean, it's mayhem. So unless we want to become a banana republic, keep it up. But their policies just don't work. And frankly, what has she actually achieved in the last
Nothing.
3.5 years?
Zip.
Zero.
Yeah. It's Alina Habba, attorney representing President Trump. Go to habbalaw.com. Follow her everywhere. Thanks for making time, Alina. I really appreciate you, my friend. Let's do it again very soon.
Yes, I hope so. Thanks, Joe.
I appreciate you. We're back after this. Stay right here.